venture capital. Uh, Godrej has entered this market with Nature's Basket. They already have their strength in terms of brick and mortar stores. So they are leveraging that and their existing supply chains to get into the online market space as well. Zopnow is Bangalore-based. Right? Zopnow is a Bangalore-based hyperlocal startup that created some waves last year. Local Banya was probably one of the first ones out of Bombay, but they unfortunately shut down, I think, around November last year. And Amazon, of course, the big daddy of all e-commerce players, has also entered this space. They've done a small pilot in Bangalore. They've been running it for a few months. It's called Amazon Kirana now. And they're only piloting it in certain localities of Bangalore to see how the logistics will work out. And if they are able to crack that model, they'll obviously roll it out across India eventually. One small point of differentiation between the business models of these players, I'm sure all of you followed that FDI in e-commerce ruling last week. That there was a clarification from the government. And there was a statement from Kishore Biyani that BigBasket should be shut down because they are a foreign-funded e-commerce player that holds inventory. And to some extent, he's right in what he's saying. Yes, it is against the law, but so also is every single e-commerce player in India is doing the same. So they are not the exception. The big difference I want to point out here is that BigBasket actually has their own warehouses, their own inventory, whereas what Grofers and Peppertap did is closer to what we do also, is that we don't hold significant inventory. Most of our stuff, we are a marketplace, we source it from other people. We don't invest, we don't put any working capital into inventory, which makes us asset light and also helps us to scale quicker. That's the competition. Moving forward, what are our goals? Some of the business goals here are, we want to get to 1,000 plus household subscriptions by May 16. I don't think that's a very big number at all. And 7,000 plus subscribers by end of 2016 at an average ticket size of 2,000 rupees per household. That is very representative. Those numbers are very representative of a typical Nagpur household. And we arrived at this number with the assumption that if there are 35 lakh people living in the greater Nagpur area, an average household is, let's say, 5 people. That means there are 7 lakh households in Nagpur, and that represents barely 1% of the entire city. So I think we both think that this is a very, very achievable target, and we are working towards that. We want to increase the customer outreach. We want to mature our product and processes so that our delivery costs are as low as possible, there is as little wastage as possible, and our technology product for those 5,000 odd people who are using our app in Nagpur to improve their experience and make it better and better. We want to evolve a robust backend for the deliveries, and we want to optimize for reduced cost and to be profitable at city level. Our funding situation, we bootstrapped the product back in 2014, which basically means that we paid for it out of our own pockets. And for the initial scale up, we raised a seed round from Atulya Mittal in June 15, as I mentioned earlier. We will be looking to raise another round of growth capital to be able to go to multiple cities. We don't want to be just a Nagpur-based startup. We want to launch at least Indore and potentially Pune as the next city in 2016. Where will you utilize this funding? Operational scaling up, hiring, marketing, building supply chains, and hopefully benefit the local job market as well in the process. And yeah, that's it. That's our contact information, and you're free to write to us or call us on those numbers if you have any questions. Sure.
How do you handle the logistics?
We do it in-house. We have our own delivery team of about 12 delivery boys and 3 fulfillment managers. So they are responsible for, as soon as an order comes in, there's an operations manager who handles all that. His job is to make sure that it gets delivered on the committed time, that everything that the customer has ordered is available, or if something is not available, it is communicated back to the customer as quickly as possible so they can make either alternate arrangements or provide them a substitute product. If Maggi is not available, if I can give you Patanjali, and if it's acceptable to you, then we can still make that work. But we handle it all in-house right now. Sure.
Do you plan to do it in-house only logistics? Because I think that is the significant
you don't have the control over your cost price, as well as you don't have any control over the selling price. Basically, your focus is on groceries, so the selling price are almost free, as well as the cost price. So, do you focus on the logistics? Basically, what I see is what you want to create a efficient logistic parameters. मतलब
Yes, and we track all of that. In fact, we have created a separate mobile app for our delivery team, which allows us to track all those metrics. How much time is a delivery boy spending to get to a particular retailer? How much time is he spending inside the retail shop, so that we know if a particular retailer is taking a lot of time in getting the order fulfilled, then we can talk to them and ask them to improve their parameters. Uh, so yes, we do track a lot of that in-house. We built technology around it also. But in future, in order to be able to scale up quickly, you can't do all of that in-house. You have to rely on third-party logistics players where they are reliably available. Because we wanted to do that entirely in-house for Nagpur was because we were still building our customer experience. And there's a lot of flack that you get if you promise a customer that you will get your groceries or your cake, birthday cake, within 3 hours, and there's a birthday party planned and you can't get it to him in 3 hours, then you have to hear a lot of complaining from the customer, and they'll never buy again from you. So we wanted to completely control that. When you outsource it to a third-party player, if they are not very competent, if they cannot deliver on the SLAs, then that means you end up with a bad name.
one more thing, how do you differentiate yourself with Groofers and probably Big Basket? Because I didn't find anything which is very different to what they are doing. What is the value addition which your model has actually?
Well, the first thing that differentiates us from them is the geography. You've been following the news. Grofers has pulled out of 9 cities earlier this year. They were mostly tier 2 cities because they were struggling in tier 2 and they pulled out of them. Pepper Tap, which is the other big player, has also stopped their operations in 6 cities. There's a reason for it. They're coming from the NCR Gurgaon benchmark. They're doing 5,000 orders a day in Gurgaon. Nagpur will not give you 5,000 orders a day even after being here for 4 years. You just have to be a lot patient. The consumer here is different. You are not going to get that technology adoption. So both the names you mentioned, Grofers, Pepper Tap, they are both app only. You cannot call up Grofers and say, I want this, which is a huge barrier for both of them to grow. They are not able to penetrate tier 2 and tier 3 because they expect the consumer will download their app and use their app.
Probably they could have done that. What is the reason that they have not done this? I am just trying to understand if you feel there is a connection difference, there is a difference between connect, because they are trying to connect with only apps and website. Probably they must have thought over it, why can't they have a WhatsApp or call me direct calling kind of thing? What's the reason?
The reason for it is that it is not a scalable option at the scale at which those companies operate. If you follow the news, Grofers does something like 35,000 orders in a day across India. That is possible only if you never speak to your customer. If you put customer service people and your consumer is telling them, "Mujhe ye nahi, wo chahiye, ye nahi, wo chahiye," you will never get to that scale. Right? Technology helps you to scale up. Every time there's a human touch point, it slows you down. So that they bet aggressively on their technology, and it's worked beautifully in cities like Bangalore, Bombay, Delhi. It will not work in cities like Nagpur, Indore, Bhopal, Raipur, Lucknow, and all these tier 2 towns where consumers are not comfortable ordering things on apps. They are not comfortable ordering kirana on apps. They still want a lot of hand-holding, human touch. There's a lot of assurance, and it's a positive for us in a way because we are from tier 2, so we understand that particular aspect. It's a negative where because it does slow you down. We've seen that. I prefer that all my 12,000 users just use my app, and I never have to keep a 5 people customer service desk that's talking to them all day long, because it slows you down. There's no doubt about it. You can't launch 10 cities in 1 month and grow them to 10, 15,000 orders a day. That doesn't happen. So their expectations about tier 2 were I think, misplaced. And what they've realized is that this market is way different in consumer behavior when compared to the metros. And so they've had to recalibrate. Also, if you notice, if you follow this particular industry, there was a big change in the funding situation of all these companies. Just since October, since China went down, all of these are backed by foreign investors, and their fortunes turned. So naturally, the fortunes of these companies have also turned. They were very aggressive at the beginning. They've scaled back now. And all through 2016, I think you will see them operating at a very muted level compared to last year.
That was on card actually. That was on card.
Right.
The discounting and all that.
But the market is very different. I mean, the fact of the matter is the top 8 cities, if you look, the 4 metros and the Ahmedabads and Pune and Hyderabad, their behavior is drastically different from the tier 2, the tier 3 and rural Indian market. And if you don't understand that, you're not going to succeed in these markets.
Thank you.
Yes. How do you tackle customer grievances about substandard quality supply and all those issues?
Okay, so the first thing we do is that we are very selective about who we source from, and we guarantee our consumers free returns, no questions asked. Everything that gets delivered to your doorstep, if you don't like what you see, you're free to return it. We have to do that because that's an expectation set by the e-commerce companies that came before us.
But after use, if they found that is of substandard quality and he raised the grievance to you, how will you meet it?
It will be routed back to the retailer then. We are a marketplace. See, we are not...
But you had some responsibility when you are selling the product.
Yes.
Then
of course.
what is the method you are applying for the consolation of customer and all that?
So like I said, we will take it up with the retailer. In cases where it's possible, if it's an electronic item still covered by warranty, it will be replaced, obviously.
Taking the responsibility of exchange and all that.
No. Be very clear, we don't take the responsibility, we will facilitate it with the retailer. Because when you buy, let's say you buy a TV through us, it's going to go with the original retailer's invoice. You're not going to see our invoice on it. The guarantee is offered by Samsung, not by us. So if something does go wrong.
But what about bakery products, foods and beverages?
That is usually split. In the past, wherever there have been complaints, it's usually split. If it's a product that's gotten spoiled during delivery, like we've had cases where we had to deliver a cake that got dropped on the way by the delivery boy. Obviously our responsibility. We had to pay for it.
But I suggest some method should be developed by you for this grievance sort out of grievances.
We do that. Our customers only talk to us. They don't go back to the retailer first. So we have to facilitate that back with the retailer for them.
Okay, all the best.
Thank you. What is our revenue?
What is your revenue model? Yeah.
I thought I mentioned that. So we don't charge anything to our customers. We only charge the retailers a success fee.
You said that the majority of contribution of your revenue comes from groceries. Okay, the grocery is a very thin market, means thin margin business.
Right.
So let's take an example, FMCG products. So they can hardly get 10%.
Sure.
So then so then how much you get from these people? Because you know what, means you are having a team of 12 to 14 people. So it is very difficult to cover all those expenses. When you are saying that the majority of the contribution for your revenue comes from this grocery business.
Right, right.
So how you are managing these things?
So if you remember, we started out as a pure marketplace, which means that we picked stuff up from retailers and we delivered to the consumers for a small success fee. Then, if you remember, I mentioned that we keep a small amount of inventory also, which is where the margins will come from. And thirdly, we are venture funded. We did raise a round, so we are not profitable at city level right now. We are not break-even level, which is, I think, the whole idea of doing a startup is that you can continue to grow using external support until such a point that you can actually be profitable and you don't need external funding anymore.
So when you are going to expect that you can reach the break-even point? At least for Nagpur city.
I think I mentioned all of that in my presentation.
Not the break-even point.
Yeah, break-even point 2016. Yes. Many other questions?
How come you are not targeting Vidarbha, in the sense you said Pune and Indore, but you didn't talk about
It's a tough market, frankly. When you are at the scale at which we are, we spread ourselves across Vidarbha. The number,
Instead of going to Pune and Indore,
right?
why not, Vidarbha? Because predominantly, VIA is interested in development of Vidarbha.
Sure, sure. No, I mean, we already spoke to somebody in Amravati who was very keen on doing this. They wanted to know if they could do a franchisee version of this sort of thing. But we definitely want to do it all across Vidarbha. There are challenges when it comes to the last mile logistics, the ability to build a team at all of those locations, and also the ability to generate a demand. I mean, there are certain reasons why cities like Bangalore or Delhi or a Bombay attract most of the startups. It's because the market there is ready for certain things. The market I don't know if I can generate enough orders in Akola to cover my delivery cost right now.
No, but see, I mean, I'm not in a mood to argue with you, but I think, last time when Suhas was talking about rural market in India
Sure.
has the greatest, largest attraction. And that's the reason most of the multinational companies are also targeting the rural market. I mean, if Coca-Cola and Pepsi can go right up to the, where you don't get water, you get Pepsi.
Right.
So I was only wondering because it is really challenging, but it is also an opportunity.
Absolutely. See, when you are a Coca-Cola, you can afford to build the market. I think most e-commerce companies now are riding on the supply chain that companies like Flipkart have built for us. They have built that market for any new company that comes up now. A company like Coca-Cola that sees the opportunity there can continue to lose money for a long period of time until they build the market. We can't do that unless we raise huge amounts of venture funding like some of the guys on that slide did. We can't afford to do that for very long. We have to figure out a quick path to profitability soon as we launch a city. If we can get to there with 3 to 6 months, that's our target. Any more and it's going to continue to bleed us where that city is not going to be sustainable for us anymore. So we have to pick and choose carefully where we go next.
Okay. Shailesh, I just want to know one more thing.
Sure.
In terms of, whether Bapat Bandhu or Tobbies, they are your sort of...
Suppliers, right.
Yeah, are they or they are not?
Yeah, I can't...
No.
I can neither confirm nor deny that, but...
No, my question is in the sense, from where are you sourcing?
Sure,
If customer wants to know from where you are sourcing, is it available on your website or something?
It is. It is available on website, yes.
Whether it's available on website?
Yeah, you can... So if you look at our name, right? Get Now At. The idea was that a customer would say Get Now at Bapat's or Get Now at Haldiram's.
Okay, or Get Now at Tobbies or whatever it is. Okay. Okay, thank you. Right.
Also, Mr. Shailesh, and I know as an entrepreneur, it's a tough life, so I think you must give. There is a request for one photo of sir, please. Can you just, because the photographer has to leave, so. Yes. Invited. Yeah, please. Come. And we have a next speaker who has a very, and I think our president is also around, I think. President, so please, I must welcome our president, Mr. Pandey.
Thankfully, we don't charge for modeling.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Basil, sir. I think our next speaker is Mr. Anurup Sirothi from Infinity Cards. I think he's going to talk about his own startup.
Hi, I'm Anurup and I'm the co-founder of Infinity Cards. Infinity Cards is a mobile app for conference participants and for networking events like this, so that you can find interesting people in a networking event and then share your digital visiting card with them. So it's an app for networking. The problem that we are trying to solve is this. So the present printed visiting cards that we carry with us, we believe at Infinity Cards that those cards are very ineffective as a networking tool, and they should be obsolete by now in this era of Flipkart and GetNow and e-commerce. So why do we use a printed card to share our information in this 21st century? So ineffectiveness of the printed card is the problem that we are trying to solve. Just a step back and let's see how networking happens, how we connect with our potential customer, how do we connect with our potential partners. So we first discover about them in a networking event like this. After we discover them, then we connect them by sharing our digital visiting, by sharing our printed card, and then after that we set up our meeting, exchange emails, and then the relationship gets to the next stage. So we can see networking in those three stages. But with a printed card, the only thing that a printed card does is so you depend on luck to find the right person, and then you exchange your printed card. So the other problems with printed card is like manually saving them one by one is difficult. You cannot have rich content on a printed card. So nowadays I would like to have an animated or explainer video about my product or service. If I am from a manufacturing background, maybe I would like to have animation of the service that I am providing. I cannot have it on a printed card. There should be ideally there should be my photo on my printed card, but generally we do not do it because of cost and quality. At least it happens with me. I generally forget my visiting card. Yesterday I forgot to give my visiting card to Dr. Buddhe. So, and updating card is ugly, so I change my designation. I get promoted, and updating is very ugly. And the worst part of visiting card is 88% of them end up in the dustbin. So after you go from here, most probably you will throw it in the dustbin. So it's a waste of opportunity. Infinity Cards, we believe, is the solution to all these problems. Infinity Cards are easy to organize, easy to store. They are always available, and they are environmental friendly. But the biggest advantage of using Infinity Cards is the discovery feature. So by discovery means in a networking event like this, you can find your potential customer or your partner using the app. So this is how the discovery happens. So before entering the conference, you start the app and it starts discovering people who are there. If you find persons who you see that they can be of interest to you, you tap on their name, and as soon as you tap, the card gets exchanged. So I would like to give a live demo here now. So I have come to a networking event. I see, okay, so I am looking for a good program, and I see that okay, there is one guy called Mithun Halmare. So okay, he's a programmer. So I see that Mithun is there. I tap on his name. So a discovery window is shown as shown is in step 1. Then I tap on his name, and he receives my card. In the same way, he can tap on my name. And I receive his card. So the exchanges, we are trying that the exchange of digital card, thank you Mithun, the exchange of visiting card should be as intuitive as exchanging a printed card. That is what we are trying to do, and we are trying to preserve that ritual of exchanging visiting card. मतलब ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि technology आ गई तो face to face मिल ही नहीं रहे. So we want that people should meet face to face, but then after that exchange अच्छे से हो जाना चाहिए. So that is how you can use Infinity cards. Our business model is customer segments are like, we are mainly targeting conference participants and conference organizers, and our revenue stream will be when people share Infinity cards, we earn from it. So one Infinity card will cost from 20 paisa to 50 paisa. A printed card costs anywhere from 90 paisa to 2 rupees, but a Infinity card will have rich content on it, but the cost will be less than a printed card. So one revenue stream is sharing Infinity cards. We are also pivoting towards selling tickets from our Infinity cards platform. So we are targeting event organizers so that they can sell tickets from our platform. These are the different plans, basic, frugal and pro. We can go into detail later. These are our competitors. So like Bump, Card Munch, Indigo, these are the competitors of Infinity cards, but we differ from them basically in two ways. One is the feature of serendipity, discovery. So none of the the apps there like Bump, Card Munch, Indigo, Flextown, none of the apps help you in finding the right person, and none of the apps can transfer the card offline. Right now the exchange between the cards was online, but if internet is not there, we can sync via Bluetooth and exchange the card. So internet is not necessary for exchanging the digital card. So those are the two features where we differ. This is my team. Akshay Raut, who is a technological consultant to us. Mithun Halmare, he is the backbone of this app. He is developing the entire app, and Sakshi, who is a business analyst and helping us out from the business side. Our advisors are Mr. Shashikant Chaudhary, who is a co-founder at Nagpur Angels and was MD at Global Logic. Mr. Prakash Mukte, he is a partner at Trueform Engineers, and Siddharth Gupta, he is a director at Unidas Associates. So Infinity cards, the 21st century business cards. Hope next time when you come in such a type of conference, you will use Infinity cards. Thank you so much. Oh, okay. Yes, please.
Does it help for phone list updation?
List updation.
Phone list updation.
Yes. So you can export all the contacts. So as soon as I send you my card, my contact detail is saved in your Infinity card app, and if you want, you can store it, export it to your phone book, Android phone book. Yeah.
Next was, you said it can be exchanged through Bluetooth.
Yes.
How would I trigger a Bluetooth exchange to you?
Yeah.
If I found you.
Yeah. So the थोड़ा सा टेक्नोलॉजी में जाना पड़ेगा. So the Bluetooth का जो नेटवर्क का नाम है वो आपका नाम हो जाता है, और फिर आपके नाम के ऊपर मैं टैप करूंगा तो फिर ब्लूटूथ कनेक्शन का पेयरिंग होगी और मैं कार्ड सेंड करूंगा. या लेकिन अभी जो डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन दिया था उसमें ब्लूटूथ नहीं था.
Before you exchange the card, do you need to take permission of that second person?
नहीं, अभी तो परमिशन लेने की जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन एक दो लोग बोल रहे हैं कि प्राइवेसी के मेरे को मैं अच्छा, आई एम अ इम्पोर्टेंट